officers, you go in the toilet, there's no tissue. And then you just wonder. Then there's no soap, and we're talking about prevention. So I've directed that at no time should we have any facility under my ministry without soap, without a toilet paper. That is a must.
The minister wants to see improved supply of drugs in hospitals.
The issue of commodities, drugs, the issue of motivating our staff where there is immediate need, those are the things we'll be looking at. And of course, recruiting more staff.
Equipment is also another area of concern.
And we also need to get critical equipment like this MRI. We have a CT scan which is covering 2 provinces. Those are things we should start thinking of. We should start budgeting for to ensure that at least every provincial headquarters must have a CT scan.
Earlier, Livingstone District Health Director Fesro Nkole updated the minister on the COVID-19 situation in the district.
In the last 1 week, as Livingstone, we've only managed to find 3 cases out of the 555 cases that we had. That gives us a positivity of somewhere around 0.5%.
The minister will be back in Livingstone after 2 months to check if her directives have been adhered to. Mombeha Mobola, ZNBC News, Livingstone.
Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwetwa says he will implement an inclusive approach to development so as to address the priority needs of the people from the grassroots, regardless of their ethnic background. Mr. Mwetwa says government will work with various stakeholders in taking equitable development to all parts of the province. The minister said this when he called on Chief Hamsonde in Monze district. Mr. Mwetwa informed the chief that it is President Hakainde Hichilema's desire to develop all parts of the country without any preferential considerations to areas where the president comes from. And Chief Hamsonde held President Hichilema's resolve of taking development to all corners of the country. Lusaka businessman Yusuf Dodia says the decision by President Hakainde Hichilema to attend the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York is important as it will be used to market Zambia. Mr. Dodia says after having conducted a peaceful general election and smooth transition, Zambia has shown the world that it is ready to conduct business. He says President Hichilema's attendance will also ensure the country integrates with other countries and creates more opportunities for Zambia. Mr. Dodia was speaking in a telephone interview with ZNBC News in Lusaka today. President Hichilema is scheduled to attend the 76th UN General Assembly in New York from 20th to the 25th of September 2021. You're watching the main news on ZNBC TV1. We'll take a break. The news will continue. Do stay with us.
He assaulted her, and he must face the law.
I'm here to protect you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
No matter how hard or how much some people may work, they will never get that job.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19 pandemic has upended lives of children and their families, while the health sector buckles.
We continue with the news. Some small and medium entrepreneurs on the Copperbelt have appealed to members of parliament to support the newly created Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises when it comes up for approval in parliament. Speaking to ZNBC News in Kitwe, the SMEs say for a long time they have failed to find their feet in the country's economic activities due to lack of support. Details in this report.
They are a key stakeholder in the country's economic growth. These are small medium entrepreneurs involved in different business activities. Over the years, they have had a share of challenges to grow their businesses.
In the past, we've had a lot of challenges. We have no representation, we have no support. Even when we have ideas, you have nowhere to channel them. But now that we have a specific ministry that to attend to us, it's a bravo. We are very excited. Please support this, because once you support this, you know that very few people are employed. Most of us are in small businesses. So once this, ministry goes through, then we are sure that all the small business enterprises will benefit.
So they must support this so that the benefit that we are going to derive from the resources of the country, the benefit that we are going to derive from the economic transformation, which is a key topic, from the president. These benefits are going to trickle down to everyone because this government is an inclusive government.
The UPND in Kitwe wants our SMEs to position themselves.
They lacked opportunities. Now, government, through the government of UPND and Hakainde Hichilema, they have come up with this initiative to support the small and medium business houses so much that they can participate in the growing of the economy. So the challenge now has been thrown back to the business community. They should now come up and position themselves.
Last week, President Hakainde Hichilema announced the creation of the Ministry of Small Medium Enterprises. The new ministry has widely been welcomed by entrepreneurs and is awaiting parliamentary approval. Clinton Masumba, ZNBC News in Kitwe.
And some small-scale and medium enterprises have welcomed the pronouncement by President Hakainde Hichilema for government to reduce the cost of doing business. Hotel and Catering Association of Zambia Vice President David Rossi says a number of small businesses have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, hence the need to be assisted. Mr. Rossi was reacting to the president's speech during the official opening of the first session of the 13th National Assembly on Friday last week.
We have had these pronouncements made before, and we've always had challenges when it comes to implementation. And now that we have a president who is a businessman, an economist, we hope that this will be realized. With regard to the two pronouncements that the president made, what we picked on mostly is one, the cost of doing business in Zambia is very high, and he said that he is going to reduce the cost of doing business in the hospitality and tourism industry. That is the cry that we've always had in the past, and we hope that with the creation of the Ministry of SMEs, that should work to our advantage.
Government has been urged to use the local non-governmental organizations in realizing its agenda of youth empowerment. Multi-Service Youth Empowerment Chief Executive Officer James Peary says it will be important for government to use organizations that already have structures and are familiar with the affairs of young people. Mr. Peary states that his organization, which is based in Lusaka, has over 6,000 youths on its database, and that it has trained them in various entrepreneurial courses.
Economic development and a lot of things, and also by bringing up the new ministry, which is the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise, which has brought hope to Zambian youth, especially in terms of empowering the youth with the resources and also building the capacity of the youth in terms of entrepreneurship. The organization is promoting, has developed a document which is called the Youth Manifesto document, which is the dumped as Vision 2026 to 2030. This document is trying to sell the organization ideas about the 40 strategies that we are looking at on youth empowerment.
Foreign Affairs Minister Stanley Kakubo says the UPND government will place high premium on the provision of education and skills training among the youths. Mr. Kakubo says this will enable the youth to effectively compete for opportunities. He observes that it is difficult for the country to favorably compete on the international stage without an educated and skilled citizenry. Mr. Kakubo says President Hakainde Hichilema's pronouncement to make education free should therefore be taken seriously because it is aimed at unlocking potential, especially among the youths. Mr. Kakubo, who is also a Kapiri Poshu Member of Parliament, said this in an interview with Zanis. Now, property worth thousands of kwacha has been burnt after a house fire in Lusaka's Mtendere township. We have more in this report.
Saturday's inferno was devastating for this family of Mtendere compound. This is after the house burnt twice mysteriously within a space of 2 weeks, with this fire becoming the third.
Sizwa chamene chishoka nyumba ini chani. Kana pa number 1 inashoke watinaganza ati maybe in accident chabe number 2 and serious now.
This is the third time my brother's house has caught fire, and we have lost so much property. And now we're worried because the vulnerable children that my brother has been keeping will have nowhere to stay.
As if the fire is not enough, suspected thieves are believed to have also stormed the burnt house, hoping to salvage the remains.
Kansi wasiako mwezi guys wabili wamninzo wasala wagona mkati mnyumba. So kuma 0203 namvira munyama tamba kupopote. Kansi kwenskwabwira wakawala tangena ta checking mwezi wapanya.
People that were left to man this house have told us that around 02 hours suspected thieves area councillor has appealed to well-wishers to come to the aid of the affected family.
And I'm also appealing to the well-wishers, be it government, companies, or private individuals who can come on board to help this family.
For now, what is shocking this family is that the source of the fire, which has happened for the third time in the last few weeks, is not known. Lucky Piri, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
The news will continue. Keep watching.
Presenting
You must face the law. I'm here to protect you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
People may work, they will never get
David! What's wrong with you?
Wife battery.
Wash away the pain. Wash away.
and educators. Despite what you might think or feel, we are not your enemy. We're asking you to stop, be still, to listen. I stayed at work for you. Please, please, stay home. Be the change.
Please do your best to stay at home. If you must water or any alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
We continue with the news. Zambia has continued to record a drop in the weekly COVID-19 positivity rate from 2.4% the past week to 1.9% in the preceding week. The country has further recorded a 25% drop in the number of deaths. Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says the consistent reductions are encouraging and give impetus to the COVID-19 response. Ms. Masebo says the Ministry of Health will use the window of reduced numbers to invest in health infrastructure and procurement of additional oxygen delivery devices. She notes that the country has, in the just ended epidemiological week, recorded 824 new COVID-19 cases, which is a 22% reduction from the first time since last May 2021. The minister, in a statement issued to ZNBC News in Lusaka, said the country is improving the health system through the creation of extra critical care wards. She said the country has, in the last 24 hours, recorded 102 new COVID-19 cases, which were detected out of the 5,509 tests conducted, giving an overall national positivity adding that it is the first time environment for participation of the young people in the governance system. Northern Province Permanent Secretary Royd Chakaba says government stands ready to prioritize issues of the young people who are speech read on his behalf by Northern Province Assistant Secretary Jordan Mwenya at the launch of the project on enhancing youth and women participation in governance for Northern Province in Kasama. Details in this report.
Issues of transparency and accountability are key in enhancing good governance and promoting national development. It is for this reason that the Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia has organized a meeting for 25 participants drawn from all the districts in Northern Province to equip them with knowledge on various governance issues. Alliance Executive Director Luchembe Chilufya sheds more light on the program.
This training is looking at equipping the youth with information and skills on how they can hold their leaders accountable. Committees, the DDC and the PDCC.
And the provincial administration has pledged to continue partnering with organizations to promote good governance.
The government is committed to ensure that the needs of the young and the youth and the young women, who are the majority in this country, are put as priority. To do this, government will use the strategies highlighted in the national development plans as aligned to the SDGs. In order to measure the achievements of the global goals, SDGs and Vision 2030, and the National Youth Policy, There is need to put in place monitoring and accountability mechanism, especially by the youth themselves, so as to hold each other accountable.
Meanwhile, Transparency International Zambia has donated a suggestion box to Kasama Municipal Council to improve service delivery.
We expect the community to bring in suggestions that will help to improve and promote efficiency in service delivery.
Reporting for Zanis, Mary Wendia.
We take you back to the story where Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwetwa says he will implement an inclusive approach to development so as to address the priority needs of the people from the grassroots, regardless of their ethnic background. Mr. Mwetwa said this when he called on Chief Hamsonde in Monza district. We have details in this report.
He has started his tour of duty as provincial minister, with Monza district being the first district to be visited. Newly appointed Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwetwa has outlined the roadmap to developing the province.
Go to the people, district by district, constituency by constituency, word by word, and get a priority list of their developmental challenges and needs thereof, that we may not do everything at once, but that priority list should inform what, with available resource envelope, the government should first deal with.
The minister also visited Chief Hamsonde, where he reaffirmed President Hakainde Hichilema's commitment to equitably develop all parts of the country without any preferential considerations.
In this particular constituency, it is a very special place because this is where the president comes from. But the president has indicated that this particular constituency will be treated like any other constituency in the province, like any other constituency in the country.
We should not be segregated anymore. Stop segregations, political segregations. Even those people who never voted for you, please, I thank the president for saying that we are going to marry an area and a constituency which will be treated equally.
Nchmuya Nalumpa, Zanis, in Monze, Southern Province.
The African Tourism Board says it will support Zambia's efforts to reshape and rebrand its tourism packages. Board chairperson Cuthbert Mchuwe says this is meant to boost tourism fortunes of the country. Mr. Mchuwe says Zambia remains the desired tourist destination, not just in the SADC region, but on the African continent. He also says the African Tourism Board cherishes the close relationship with Zambia within the tourism framework. Mr. Mchuwe told Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Jackson Miti, that the African Tourism Board will ensure this relationship is strengthened. And Major General Miti disclosed that Zambia is working towards rebranding and re-energizing its tourism marketing strategies. General Miti said a national working group has been constituted to coordinate the marketing and rebranding process of this undertaking. This is contained in a statement issued to ZNBC News by First Secretary for Press and Public Relations at the Zambian Mission in South Africa, Naomi Nyawali. The Bemba Royal Establishment in Muchinga Province has installed Peter Chandwe as Chief Chikwanda of Mpika and Stephen Ngandu as Chief Luchembe of Nkanchibia District. This comes after the deaths of the two chiefs from both chiefdoms 2 months ago. Details in this report.
They have installed both Chief Chikwanda and Chief Luchembe, respectively. The Bemba Royal Establishment has conducted the installation of the two Bemba chiefs on the same day. This comes after the death of both Chief Chikwanda and Chief Luchembe a few months ago. Both newly installed chiefs have pledged to contribute greatly to the development of the chiefdoms.
tuishi byokutiila takwava ekyalo ekiyapantanshi nga kyakutiila twabinga fyokulawo fyafya abaana abaana ono ikyo mukyalo kyesu kino ekyakikwanda takirefwaikwayo lekeni abaana besu basambirire bakutiila na bena bakeseikala ubwikasha ubusuma muri kino ekyalo ife bonse fe bena Luchembe nangwisha mfumu shonse ndekonkomesha okutiila tufuire twasapota ubuteeka obulipo yatwakana okusapota obuteeka obulipo tapali icho tukapantanshi nangu chimo tulingire okwikatana n'ababuteeko neshamfumu n'abantu bose okulabombera ekintu kinga pamo.
Peggy Coutinho for Zanis, Muchinga Province.
Meanwhile, the Nondo Royal Establishment is pleased that President Hakainde Hichilema has committed his administration to improving the rural road network in the country. The Royal Establishment holds the view that an improved rural road network will ease transportation of goods and spur economic growth. In a statement issued to ZNBC News by Chief Nondo of Senga Hill District, the establishment acknowledged that this commitment is progressive. Chief Nondo has since pledged support to President Hichilema's administration. Now, Shekinah Tabernacle Assembly Church has held prayers for the peaceful transition of power in the just ended August 12, 2021 general election. Church overseer Solomon Mbulo has also called on other churches to pray for the new administration and its leaders for God's wisdom as they lead the country. And Reverend Mbulo has thanked former President Edgar Lungu for his service to the nation.
Tikambeko chabe mao ya ngono kuli wa president watu wanyuwani. Hallelujah. Kuti as a church at Shekinah Tabernacle in Mrs., we want to wish our new Republican President, Mr. Hichilema Hakainde,
her, and he must face the law. I'm here to protect you.
You should be ashamed of yourself. No matter how hard or how much some people may work, they will never get that job.
David! What's wrong with you?
Iya keso funa yishiba wife back daddy.
And I'm dancing in the rain. I'm dancing in the rain. I'm hoping the water from the rain will wash away the
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19 pandemic has upended lives of children and their families. While the health sector buckles, borders closed, businesses and schools shutter. As COVID-19 spreads, so was misinformation, fueling discrimination and stigma. And educators. Despite what you might think or feel, we are not your enemy. We're asking you to stop, be still, to listen. I stayed at work for you. Please, please, stay home. Be the change.
We continue with the news. In international news, Pope Francis has warned the threat of anti-Semitism is still lurking in Europe during a brief trip to Hungary. He was speaking after meeting Hungary's populist and anti-immigrant Prime Minister Viktor Orban, with whom he has differences on the issues of refugees. We monitored Deutsche Welle TV.
First international trip since having intestinal surgery in July. Thousands gathered with little to no COVID-19 restrictions to hear him celebrate Mass. During his brief visit to Hungary, Francis also met with Prime Minister Viktor Orban, whose rejection of mass migration clashes with the Pope's call for acceptance and integration. The pontiff has now landed in Slovakia, where he will meet members of the Jewish and Roma communities.
It was a private meeting between Pope Francis and Prime Minister Orban. However, shortly after that meeting, the office of Prime Minister Orban did post a picture of both of them shaking hands. And also there was a statement that apparently Orban asked Pope Francis to, quote, not let Hungarian Christianity, or rather Christian Hungary, perish. Now, whether this could be seen in the political context of what we have heard from Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government and office related to migration and trying to protect Hungary from a, quote, invasion or alleged invasion of Muslims is something we do not know. We only know, obviously, that statement that was posted by Prime Minister Orban's office. What is known, though, even prior to this meeting, that very brief meeting that both had, is that they are quite split over various social issues, and migration is just one of them.
To sports news now, where Nkwazi Football Club have opened their account in the FAS MTN Super League by beating Nkana Football Club 3-2 at Nkana Stadium in Kitwe. Christopher Zulu opened the scoring from Nkwazi in the back from Kana in the 26th minute. Ngonga has got his brace in the second half with a sublime finish. Nkwazi's Stephen Mutuma, however, had the last laugh and put the game to bed for the visitors in the 73rd minute as the police team opened their campaign on a winning start. Elsewhere, CAF Confederation Cup debutants Kabwe Warriors held on for a goalless draw when they played CFFA of Madagascar in the preliminary round first leg in Antananarivo. Both sides created chances but could not find the back of the net. And Zanaco Football Club have made a winning start in their CAF Champions League preliminary round by beating FC Ananongwe of Equatorial Guinea by 2-0. Evans Katema gave the Bankers an early lead in the 14th minute before striker Ernest Mbewe made it 2 on the half-hour mark after some neat play. Zanaco will come into the second leg at home with an advantage of 2 away goals next week. As we end the news, we recap on our top stories. Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe says the failed Constitution Amendment Bill number 10 of 2019 will not be returned to Parliament. Health Minister Sylvia Masebo says government will work at improving the supply of drugs to all hospitals to improve healthcare services. Some small and medium entrepreneurs on the Copper Belt have appealed to members of parliament to support the newly created Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises when it comes up for approval in parliament. And Pope Francis has warned the threat of anti-Semitism is still lurking in Europe during a brief trip to Hungary.